A documentary film about the atrocities and horrors committed by the occupiers and their supporters in the Charkh district of Logar province. His wife came out of her house and was targeted. She was fallen on the ground for 3 hours because no one could take her away. When he was injured, another of my brother's wife came out from another house to help us. Suddenly the mortar hit her, both her legs were cut off.
They told us that they would protect us, but their protection was this, that they were hitting us every day.
They came and entered his house. It was like the resurrection day. The first raids on this district started from that day, following by many others.
When we came back home, we saw that the children were lying everywhere. Some were lying here, some were lying there. There was one of my nephews, his head was cut off.
I was near the door when they fired 4 or 5 times on him and targeted him. When the plane took a pause, there was knocking on our door.
The first time which my brother was martyred, my father was injured, there was a mosque and he entered to that mosque.
The first raid in this district. Hayatullah, who witnessed hundreds of bloody incidents during the 20 years of conflict, spoke about the initial raids by the occupying forces on civilians. According to him, these raids, which were reported by their spies, were carried out without any proper investigation. Most of the raids targeted innocent civilians who were not involved in the war, resulting in the martyrdom and injuries of many people in the district. These attacks deprived families of their loved ones, leaving them with sorrow and grief.
Everyone who gave them a wrong report, without distinguishing, without asking questions, without completing their report, they came and entered to their home. It was like the resurrection day. The first beginning of the raids on this district started from that day, following by many others.
March 1st, 2009. 2 o'clock in the morning. The first raid on this district. At the height of cruelty and terror, in the dead of a moonlit night, the savage and ferocious invaders of the time carried out their first raid on this district. During this attack, 5 members of a family were unjustly martyred. From the very first moment, one of the affected individuals recounts how his father and 4 of his brothers were martyred, and what happened to the rest of his family that night.
It was 2 o'clock in the night, and as soon as the report came, a plane was sitting on the other side and another plane was in the district. They came on foot and in the air. The soldiers had taken all sides. They were both civil and foreigners. My brother walked out of that house. From there, my mother said that the bullet had hit him under his abdomen. He was loudly saying, "Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar," and leave screamingly. And he said it was full moon too. My mother said, "Oh, maybe he's fainted. What happened to my son?" My father was up on the roof. He called out to them, saying, "Oh, Muslims, shoot in the air because our house is destroyed. We are all civilian. Our children came back home from work. We have no problem. Don't do that, shoot in the air because my children are martyred." My father was martyred on the same roof. My another brother had come out from the house. There was a forest of fertilizer. He had taken a stick and wanted to hit them with that, but he was martyred in the undergrowth there.
This tragic incident, the first of its kind in the district, was unfamiliar to its residents. It cast such a dark cloud of oppression and terror over the district that it became both unimaginable and unforgettable. This raid, carried out without any investigation or evidence, left a deep and lasting scar on the hearts of this family and all the people of this district.
This incident had never happened before in this district. Even in most of the provinces of Afghanistan, this incident had not happened. The first American raid was at 12 o'clock at night, or 1 o'clock at night, when many planes came and started patrolling. People said that it was patrolling as usual. When their helicopters landed in the desert, near the house of Haji Abdul Rashid again, our people did not think about what kind of raid was and why they came. The raid lasted until 2 or 3 o'clock in the night. And then the planes left. In the morning, people came, saying they had martyred people here. I went there and saw with my own eyes.
2 planes came behind our house. They also came on foot. Tanks and planes also came there. All were sieged. It was that they martyred someone under the tree. They martyred my brother in the mansion. They martyred my father on the roof. Like this, they martyred everyone. What does this mean? Why didn't they martyr you? Why didn't they bombard you? What is this figure? The spies had said to the Americans that there is a waistcoat bomb and car bomb in the house. If you see them, hit them. Martyr all of them.
The pleas and cries of a mother to save her child in front of the heartless and beastly soldiers had no effect. A mother who witnessed her 12-year-old son bleeding to death in front of her eyes is one of the most heartbreaking accounts of Hayatullah's life.
When they had targeted Haji Abdul Rashid, and a few minutes later, they targeted his eldest son. A few minutes later, they targeted another of his son. They had targeted all of his 4 sons within 2.5 hours. Again, they had hit them with the big knife, in front of their women. One of his children, either the big or the small one, who was in front of his mother, he was hugging his mother, calling out not to target one of us at least. At that time, 2 Americans took him 2 meters away. They shot him in front of his mother. Even they hit him with the knife. They shot with Kalashnikov's bullets.
When the Jewish, Christians, and the Americans came, they raided our house. My father was a potter. My brothers were potters. One of my brothers was a religious scholar. We were not in any group, not in the government or any other band. The Americans used to say that they are human rights defender, saying they do not oppress, but the dangerous injustice that happened to our house, nowhere else had experienced such cruelty. What is the meaning of this? We did not understand why this oppression happened to our house.
July 2nd, 2017. 11 p.m. Curse upon occupation and cruelty. The airstrikes and night raids by the Americans have made sleep impossible for the people of this district. The daily lives of the residents have been thrown into turmoil, to the point where they could no longer tend to their daily affairs or their agriculture in peace. One of the other residents of this district, along with his son, who was busy with irrigation and farming, were ruthlessly martyred in a blind raid by the Americans.
When the raid started, the planes were flying, they were shooting. I had sat near the door, and I was sure that the raid was right there. If they blow up the door with bomb, I would say don't do that. The shooting approached here. They targeted the father and his son. His son was martyred there. His father came up here saying,
Allah Akbar.
we heard his sound saying,
Allah Akbar.
but we couldn't go out due to fear. I was in the door when they shot 4 or 5 times and targeted him. The planes were flying. When the plane's flight stopped a little bit, there was a knock at our door.
When
it knocked, I opened the door to say not to blow it up the door with bomb. My brother said, don't get scared. There is the martyr lying. Let's lift the martyr. I with my brother and my family went out. It was dark. I came there, but I didn't know him. His mouth was open. I left him and came to mosque to know if there were someone and take the bedstead and lift him up. I came back there and my brother said he is Khan. I replied, no, he isn't Khan. He said, yes, he is Khan. I saw his sandals, and from his sandals, I knew him. He was hidden in the vapor. When they reached this area, one of them was targeted by the plane here with 2 or 3 grenade launcher. One hit that side, one hit this side, one this area, and one another hit that place. From that area till here, they shot with 10 grenade launcher. He was badly burnt. His head was lying here, his feet were lying along this side. When we came up to him,
one of the other affected individuals says, those who had gone out that night for irrigation and farming, were caught in an American air raid while they were working late outside their home in search of an honest livelihood. During the aerial patrols and attacks, both his father and brother were martyred.
The first time which my brother was martyred, my father was injured. He entered to a mosque, but after his injury, as he had the pain of his child or his anxiousness to rescue his son, he came out again from the mosque. The plane followed him back and targeted him. First, he was shot in his feet. Our father was shot in the back. His teeth were fallen out, and he passed away like this.
There was a raid in the night. We were busy with the flour mill, grinding the wheat, when the raid and the planes came. We were looking from the house, and there was a lot of shooting. We said, it is out of our control. Oh Allah, please protect us. So we came home at night and saved ourselves from the raid and the planes. One of our villagers came and asked us, where were Khan Sharon and Muhammad Sharon? I replied that they had gone for irrigation. He said, you haven't heard from them? I said, no. He said, so they are martyred.
his lamp was kerosene lamp. His son asked him to turn of the lamp, but he had replied saying, they would do nothing to us. We are irrigating, we are civilians. We came here to irrigate the land. But the lamp showed light. The plane targeted them here. They were civilian. They were not in any band. His work was buying and selling goods as his sons and nephews follow the same work.
When I heard that my father and my brother had been martyred, such a bad condition came to me. I even didn't understand whether I was on earth or in the space. The first night when we buried them, as I came back from Imamate, I used to have meeting with them. So when I came home, I saw all the guests were sitting but my father and brother were not there. I cried and I really felt sad. Every Muslim and everyone have meeting with their son, brother and father. I thought whom I should I have meeting with since now.
The feeling that comes to me knowing that my brother isn't alive, I say to Allah, "Oh Allah, pass this hard time easily as the world is getting hard to me." Then I go to his wife to say something to make her happy, in order to make Allah satisfied, or his soul might rest and becomes happy. If I take care of his children, orphans and wife, and Almighty Allah may send blessing upon us.
که من ناز بودم او شاید خوشحال شود از روی ازی خودم تعالی شاید یک لبه سر ما کنه.
The village of Sadat, once a place of joy, turned into a land of sorrow and grief. Everyone was busy in the joy of the evening, unaware that the enemy of humanity would turn this night of happiness into one of mourning and sorrow. The American occupiers, at the very moment when the people of this village were celebrating a wedding and the henna night, turned the red color of the henna into the color of blood, plunging the entire village into grief. The village was bombed, and as a result, several villagers, including guests attending the celebration, were sent to their deaths. There was no longer any joy or celebration, only thoughts of the martyrs of this tragedy on their way to their eternal resting place.
It was the henna night. The raid came and started bombardment first. Our pots were cooking here, and we had soaked the rice for cooking here. They started the bombardment from that side of mosque and followed up to there. The drone hit every house with 15 or 20 shots. I was entering every room in the house and took the women and children into the basement.
It was 10 o'clock in the night when the raid came. We were startled, we couldn't do anything. The raid came, the war started in the house of Ishaq Zai Saheb, they destroyed the houses.
There was a barn for cattle. A guy had come from the city, the brother of Mullah Izzatullah. He was a common guy. He entered there. We were not aware. The bomb blew up the barn. He was inside it. There were 12 or 13 of sheep. They had blown them with this. The sheep died all inside.
After that, they came to our house, they broke that door, they pointed laser, in the house, I entered to the bathroom, one of my little sons was also with me, he was shouting, I covered his mouth my hand, saying to be silent, don't make noises or they will come. A few minutes later, there was noises here, after 15 minutes a device turned on, there were a lot of noises, then the noises stopped, the plane started shooting on the house.
We were not aware of that martyr, that there is a martyr. One of my children who passed the area in the evening had said to his mother, there was a martyr. He asked me to take him out. I am in the barn. We didn't believe and laughed, saying, why there should be a martyr. But when I came there, I saw the sheep. I brought the workers to dig the place we were taking out the sheep. There we saw the martyr's foot came out.
I swear that, before we took him out, he had showed himself to my daughter to take him out. He was a civilian. After taking him out, they brought him here, then they carried him near the stream, he was filled with dust, they had also put his stuff in his neck in a bag, his hands were tied up in his back, they took him out and handed over to his family.
Grenade! 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0.
The diabolical forces of the time have turned the people of this land, whether in the city, the village, or the foothills, into victims of bloodshed. They have torn young men and family members away from the warm embrace of their homes, in full view of their wives and children, drowning them in sorrow and grief.
The night raid came, we were also in the village. It was approximately 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. The plane arrived, there were loud noises. Then the plane came and started shooting. They bombarded here, then they flew, our houses there in the above, they also came to our houses, we were in the rooms, they took us from the rooms.
It was a bad situation. They entered whole region in the village on foot. They took people from their houses. Below our house was the house of Mullah Asadullah and Sadiqullah. They also took them out of their houses. In every house they went, they had blown up their doors with bomb.
When the raid came, one was my son, one was my nephew, and two were my cousins. They had taken them from the house, and then they sat them on the mines. There as you see that house, and they blew up them with mines. That house that you see there was a lot of cattle in it. They had shot those houses by plane. So that happened to our martyrs.
So, we were taken from the alley to the mountains. 3 planes came there and they took us to Bagram. They exploded in that place. We were there, we heard the voice, but we didn't know what had happened. We were prisoners. When we came back, we heard that our cousins, totally 4 people had been martyred.
The women told us that they took the children at night. Then we asked them, why do you take these children? They said, we don't do anything with them. The women told us that there was a very loud noise in our house. When I saw the vapor was flying over the house, then the plane came and targeted another area. When we came back home, we saw that the children were lying everywhere. Some were lying here, some were lying there. There was one of my nephews, his head was cut off.
Now, thank God, the Islamic Emirate has come. Everyone can live peacefully. People confidently commute to their houses and villages. Previously, the youths could not stay at home for a single night. They used to go to the mountain or going from one place to another.
Finally, after years of struggle, fighting, martyrdom and sacrifice, the plant of freedom and independence has grown, and the long-held ambition of millions of our Afghan countrymen has turned into reality. The national system of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan has now taken power. And the nation lives its graceful and honored life peacefully under its shadow.
During the 20 years, a very dark scene and many hardships have passed in this high school and all parts of this district. Mortars were hitting around the areas of the school. They were targeting from the district. Even the classes were also destroyed.
I picked him up. When I saw, he was hit with the bullet from behind and his eye was fallen out. When it hit in front of my shop, my asset was destroyed. I had a little daughter. She was martyred, and I was also injured in 4 or 5 parts of my body.
This is a documentary example of the atrocities of the invading forces in this district of Logar province that we depicted for you. You can watch this documentary in English on national television and its social media pages. As a national and people's voice media outlet, we aim to showcase the crimes committed by the invaders in this land, and we have tried to document some of the crimes and incidents committed by these invaders in this district of Logar province. If you have witnessed such incidents, you can contact us on WhatsApp at 074-434-3668. We are here to amplify your voice and reach it to the ears of the international community.